Howdy folks, Parker Peters here, and today we are going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch. So let's get right on into it. I want to start this video by going to the Facebook comment section. On my Facebook page I posed the question, now that the dust has settled, what do you guys think of the Switch? What have you been playing the most? What's your favorite position? Handheld, docked, or kickstand? And most importantly, what do you think of the hardware? Let's see what you guys had to say. Riley says, I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 because Zelda burned out really quick. I'm really digging the handheld mode, but once I get my left Joy-Con back from repair, the connectivity issue, I'll do more docked mode. I love the hardware a ton, it makes me happy as hell. The kickstand on mine is already taped on so it doesn't open on its own. I'm really unhappy with the available software. I know it's a new console, but there's really no excuse. Get third-party AAA content or your own content lined up for launch. 2 big titles in your first 2 months, what the hell? You're absolutely right, Riley. There aren't really that many games available, the big ones being, of course, Zelda, Mario Kart 8, Puyo Tetris, and 1-2 Switch Snipper Clips, and Wonder Boy 3 if you're like me and you enjoy those Sega classics. Wonder Boy 3 is a fantastic game to pick up. But really, within a launch window, you do need to have at least 5 fantastic games, and I think that the Switch really only has probably 3 if we count Mario, Zelda, and Puyo Tetris. It really isn't that great of a launch lineup, however, it is a lot better than the Wii U, you have to admit. Alexander says, I think some friggin' games should come out already. Well, right there with you, buddy. Robbie says, I would give you an honest opinion if I could find a place to buy a Switch. Joshua also says, I think it's still effing impossible to find one. And you guys are right, I had to go on eBay, and I was sort of being a little bit of an eBay vulture there for a while looking for my Switch, but I managed to find one which had been opened. However, I did get it for about $20 less than retail when you shake it all out. The scalping market on the Switch right now isn't super huge. I think that the most you can expect to pay is $70 over retail if you want to buy one right now on eBay, but they do have them regularly selling on eBay for retail price or around that ballpark, within $20 more or less of retail price. So if you're just patient and you just wait on eBay, you can find one for retail. Eric Graham says, I've been playing my Vita more. I think I like the hardware design of that better. I did, however, play almost 200 hours of Zelda. Eric, you're onto something. I was originally going to do this video sort of comparing and contrasting the Switch and the Wii U. However, I do think that the Switch, now that I've sunk my teeth into it, really is a lot more like the PlayStation Vita than the Wii U, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. Miles says handheld mostly, if not 90%, so I guess he means he's playing handheld about 90% of the time, and I can get that sentiment. I actually am a huge fan of the kickstand mode. I have been playing my Switch on the kickstand for the most part, which might be a little bit strange. I don't see many people lauding the kickstand mode, but I absolutely love it. I like to walk around my house a lot on my days off, and taking my Switch with me, putting it on the kickstand on the kitchen table, having a snack, playing it in handheld mode. It's great. I love the kickstand mode. It's fantastic. It's like having a console with you wherever you go. Eric has a nice Fifth Element meme here. And last but not least, we have Bo here. Lots of games coming out this spring and summer. Have patience, Padawans. Thank you, Bo. It's nice to have a little bit of optimism in our lives. Now on to my analysis of the actual hardware. Let's start with the core system itself. If I can detach these Joy-Cons here, I can show you this. This is the system. This is the Nintendo Switch system. As you can see, it is incredibly thin. It's super thin, actually. Much thinner than the PlayStation Vita, which is what we're going to be comparing it most to. Here you can see on the top it has a vent that can get a little bit heated. That's where the air comes out. And on the back we have 2 vents here. Those are our intake vents. On the sides you can see here are the rails for the Joy-Cons. On the top we have power and volume buttons, as well as a headphone jack, and here is the game cart slot. That's where your game cards go in. On the bottom we have our little USB docking port and 2 notches, serial number, and that's it for the for the console itself, it's a really thin and small design, kind of like what you would expect to see out of a tablet. But again, that's been one of the Switch's main criticisms, is that it is a $300 tablet. And when you have the system out and you're just looking at it, it is kind of easy to come to that conclusion. However, when you pair it with the Joy-Cons, it very obviously is something other than a tablet. So upon pairing the Joy-Cons, you can see it is quite a hefty package. Let me grab my Wii U gamepad here. Okay, here is our Wii U gamepad, and here is the Nintendo Switch. As you can see, they are comparable in size. The Switch a little bit smaller than the gamepad in the width category, as well as thickness and height. But for the most part, they are pretty similar in size. But the one thing that I found most striking about the Switch is its similarities to Sony's recently failed handheld, the PlayStation Vita. As you can see, it is quite a bit larger than the PlayStation Vita, but when you hold them, they're about the same weight, just marginally thinner than the Vita. They're fairly similar when you hold them, like the feel of the PlayStation Vita and the feel of the Nintendo Switch are remarkably similar. I think it might be the similar analog sticks and shoulder buttons that the Switch and Vita have, but their build quality and their feel in your hands is quite strikingly similar. I find this interesting because the PlayStation Vita, near the end of its life cycle, had become somewhat of a portable PS4. You could just stream games to your PlayStation Vita and then seamlessly pick them up on your PlayStation 4, which is a very similar experience to what the Nintendo Switch offers. The Switch, however, has the upper hand in this face-off, as it is running off of its native hardware rather than streaming over the internet. So the Switch has much less input lag, obviously, as the Vita does playing PlayStation 4 games. Now on our left Joy-Con here, you can see this is the capture button. This doesn't do the same thing as the capture feature on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. It is merely a screenshot button. It doesn't do anything other than take a screenshot. So when you're playing your game and you come upon something that looks pretty, I don't know, I've been using it a lot in Zelda, that's a pretty game. You can just take a screenshot by snapping that. It takes a screenshot immediately, pops up a little notification, very little interference, really slick. However, there is no streaming option. Nintendo is very anti-streaming and very anti-video sharing, so you cannot capture video on the Nintendo Switch. A little bit of a disappointment, because I thought Nintendo had maybe come into the 21st century with Sony and Microsoft, but no, it is screenshots only here. Now, as somebody in the comments mentioned, and you probably know, the left Joy-Con, this blue one, is plagued with some connectivity issues. I haven't had any issues personally. It has connected, it hasn't refused to connect, but I have noticed that the left one is always the second one to connect. This is always the slower one to connect, especially if I have my hands under a table or they are somehow obscured in some way. The left does take a little bit longer to connect, so I am going to guess, and by any news report you read, the connectivity issues are real. They just don't seem to be as invasive as some people seem to be making them seem. The user interface of the Nintendo Switch is somewhat bare bones. When you boot it up, it is just a hotbar of games, kind of like what's on the PlayStation 4, as well as news, the eShop, your captured images, and settings. The eShop experience, thank God, has been improved from the Wii U and 3DS. It is much better organized, but maybe that's just because there's less content. But buying a game seems like a lot less of a hassle on this new Nintendo network, if you ask me. The share function, as I said previously, is just a screenshot sharing feature, which I think is a little bit unfortunate, and you can only share one screenshot to Facebook or to Twitter at a time, which is a little bit frustrating if you ask me. Thanks to the PlayStation 4, I'm now used to being able to pick and share multiple screenshots and video clips at a time if I want to. However, the Nintendo Switch only allows you to share one screenshot at a time per Facebook or Twitter upload, which I find a little bit strange. Maybe they'll fix that in the future, but you can't really select multiple images to upload. It's a little bit annoying. Alright, now let's talk about the other piece of hardware included in the package, the Nintendo Switch dock. Now it is incredibly light and low profile, but it has a back hatch here which opens up to reveal, let's see if we can show you this. There is a AC adapter port here, the USB port, and an HDMI out. And on the back of the system there are 2 more HDMI ports. So it is pretty much just a cradle and HDMI port for your console. It doesn't add any power. So if you were hoping for more power and for a more powerful console, something say along the lines of a PlayStation 4, the dock does not give you that. The Nintendo Switch is a little bit underpowered at the moment. It is a lot less powerful than the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. However, I do think the fact that it is available on the go wherever you are more than makes up for that lack of power. Way to go, Nintendo, you really understand your audience. And there you have it, that's my analysis of the Nintendo Switch. I like it, I think it's a really good system. It's definitely on the right path for Nintendo right now. This is the direction that I do think they need to be going if they're going to be keeping up their practices. What did you think of the Nintendo Switch? If you had a chance to play with it, leave me your comments below. Do you like the hardware? What's your favorite position to play in? What is your favorite game so far? And if you want to be in one of these videos in my Facebook comment section, head on over to facebook.com/ParkerPetersPlays. I post on there, you comment on there, you might end up in one of these videos. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.